guys. Welcome to the show. Tonight's chakra session is all about navigating change. Our energy body works a particular way, and sometimes even the slightest change can set us off balance. So, how do we go through a time like we are at the moment, where change is all around us and inside of us for most of us? And as that's happening, how do we stay balanced? How do we find center, even if center is new in every moment? And how do we navigate the change without going into a place of fear and are able to stay in our heart center? That's what we're talking about today. So if that resonates for you, that's what we've got going on. So let me check and see. Oh, Andrew's in the house. Hi, Andrew. Nice to see you. Really excited to have you here. Oh, and Neshi, hi, lady. Nice to have you. And thank you for reminding everyone, if you could like and share the show. You know, there's probably someone out there who's having a little difficulty with change and maybe could use a little wisdom or guidance on how to navigate it and maybe even why we're reacting the way we are. Because for some of us, this is brand new territory and it's uncomfortable. Change is uncomfortable. So how do we get comfortable in the discomfort? So there you have it. Hi, Sandy. Thank you for liking and sharing. Appreciate that. Excited to have you here. And, for those of you who connect with me on a regular basis, I will be leaving like a few minutes early so I can hop on to my class that I'm teaching tonight at Star Nations Academy here live through Zoom. And that will be all about multidimensional manifesting with your inner child. And I'm very excited about that. I was laughing at my spiritual team. Well, not laughing at them, but laughing at the energy around the class because they gave me a whole weekend workshop that I could do on it myself. So, almost 3 days worth of content, and I had to hone it down to an hour and a half. So we'll see how that works this evening. But it's at least a teaser for what's coming up in the world of manifesting, especially in this new time of multi-dimensional manifesting. It's taken on a new energy, a new life, and that's part of the change, right? That's part of the change that we're navigating these days. So one of the things that happens when we encounter change, think of it as we're driving our car and something crosses the road in front of us. And when that happens, we put on the brakes. Sometimes we just slow down and keep moving, and sometimes we slam on the brakes, and then we're in so much shock and disbelief, it's hard to even start the car. And depending on how close we got to the thing that was crossing our path, our heart might be racing, and we may be in a little bit of shock, and it's hard to, start the car and keep going, right? Well, we've all had those times when you've had a close one, right? Or even when we've run into the thing, and had an accident. How does our body react? Well, we do that with change, just changing thoughts, changing ideas, changing our patterns of living and behavior. All of those are like things crossing the road, our energetic road that we're traveling down, and we react to the change, right? And so how do we not hit it? How do we not hit the change, full force? How do we slow down, or come to a stop and appreciate the change in front of us and the wonder of it crossing our path? And how do we keep going, right? It's how do we respond to change? So that's really, a different ball of wax. Rob said manifestating. Very cool. Hi, Stephanie. Nice to have you here. Glad to see you in the house. It's exciting. Um, so, in navigating the change, first, it's interesting to see how do we react. How do we handle change on a regular basis? And I'm sure that many of us have all of those responses depending on what changes in front of us. Minor changes, we can just kind of slow down, navigate, move forward. And the big ones that feel like a tree crossed our road and now we've got to drive on a whole different road. Those can be a little, or we've got to turn around and go back. Those can be a little disconcerting. It can make it a little bit hard for us to really find, the new path, the new road, the new way, as we're going through change. Thanks, Rob. I love having that. Hi, Kimberly. Welcome to the show. Thank you for sharing. And Neshi's saying, so good to be live with my peeps. I know, right? It's so nice to have the Star Nations community come together in these broadcasts, because we can gather, we can chat, and we can feel that connection. And that helps navigate the change too. When we're feeling isolated and alone, sometimes it's hard for us to figure out the change. And so one of the things that my team has been talking about a lot lately is what part of you is navigating the change? Is it your ego, the brain of your survival body? Is it your intellect that is figuring things out? Or is it your spirit? And as I said before, depending on the circumstances, it could be 1, 2, all 3. But who's talking the loudest, and who are you listening to when you're making those choices on how to navigate the change, and how do you react to the change? Hi, Patricia. Nice to have you here. Glad to see you in the house. That's exciting. So in this change navigation, first of all, when our ego body, our survival brain, that's how I like to think of the ego. It's the brain of the survival body. So its main concern is all about, how do I stay alive? And it doesn't really think about anybody else. That takes a higher form of understanding. So when we're in survival mode, we're very concerned about having what we need, which is fine. But it's all about mine. And when we are in a reactive place, this is when the fight, flight, and freeze comes right into effect. And we're all going to react differently, but we tend to have a favorite. I have a number of people that I know who, they flee, whether they do it on foot or energetically. They check out of the energy and they disassociate, and they can't even remember having the conversation or the change come up and get them sometimes, because they've left their energetic body. Some don't want change, and they're willing to stand locked in their path and fight anything that is creating change. And then there's those of us who freeze. And when we freeze, we're like, what's next? Where do I go? And how do I go? It's like our car battery died for a minute, right? And that happens when we go into, overwhelm, like too much information. Empaths, that have that response, it's often, we're getting so many energetic hits from all different directions that we don't have time to sort them all. So we're sort of frozen in the trying to sort what reaction is ours, what is somebody else's, how does that impact our survival body, are we safe? And then there we go, our intellect kicks in and it starts analyzing and figuring things out. And when we're figuring things out, often we're also frozen because we're like, and we're weighing all the options and we're thinking of all the possibilities that we've ever experienced, right? So, so if the ego is in control, we might have any of the survival responses, but we're going to hold on very tightly to anything that feels like ours. We're going to hold on to our toilet paper because we need to have enough. And most of the time we don't know what enough is. So in that space, it's when the hoarding energy comes in, and we're going to do it with food and money and sex and alcohol and anything that fills a base survival need. And so that is, we've seen a lot of that. We've experienced a lot of that maybe in the last few weeks. Even if it wasn't ours, we saw it around us. We saw other people in strong survival mode, and we're like, whoa, okay. And we maybe felt it kick in for ourselves. And we're in a discomfort of having that kick in because we're not used to it. So that's when our ego is in control, or our survival body is in control. And when our intellect is reacting to change, it is analyzing it. It is looking at all the possibilities that it has known and encountered. And that's when we research for the answer. And nowadays we're going to pick up our phone and we're going to search and we're going to look and we're going to type in different things. But it's all figuring out how to navigate the change. And we will use tools that we've used in the past. This is not a place where we're going to create a new path or create a new way. We're going to deal with change the way we've always dealt with change, or similar change. So we're going to compare and contrast and go, okay, this is really similar to this, so I'm going to react this way. And then when we allow our spirit to navigate change, we are aware of the change around us, and we open our senses and our intuition to its fullest ability, and our radar to its fullest ability. And we allow all of that information to come together and help us choose. So we take action rather than react to our circumstances. So in that place, we're navigating change in the captain's seat rather than in the back seat or the passenger seat that we might be when we allow our ego, our intellect, to be the only way that we navigate change. I hope that makes sense. Let's see who else is here. Marie. And she was saying, yes, yes, and yes. Yes, right. I'm sorry. I always forget fawn. Then those are those people who fawn, people who bend over backwards to keep things from getting worse. Yes. And then Rob says, considering that they bought up all the bacon, they will need all that TB. I didn't hear about bacon getting taken care of. I'm waiting for coffee. I've been surprised that coffee is so accessible. I just that's a big need that so many people have. I've been surprised that that's still a thing, and we're still able to find it. And thank you, Stephanie, for the fawn, because it is one that I always forget that it's there. Not that I forget that it's there, but it is something that I forget about, because that is a thing that I used to do in the past, but I haven't done it in a while. So it's one of those things that I forget. So in the fawn energy, that is also, it is a survival mechanism. It's when you see the other people around you in survival mode, And there's a part of you that is like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be eaten. So we gotta take care of their needs so that I don't become what they need. It's very much crocodile energy, eat or be eaten. And so fawning is like feeding them until they're stuffed so that maybe they'll go away. So I get that. And hi, Judy. And then Rob is saying, we're out of coffee. I don't know. It's just one of those things that I have been thinking about, that to me, I'm surprised that I just was surprised that coffee wasn't a base thing for as many people. So that's, part of that thing is that when you're adapting, and when we're navigating change, it's seeing, sensing, feeling, interpreting the energy in front of us that is not the way it has been, and adapting, not resisting the change, but going, all right, and finding a way to find the rhythm that the change holds so we can match it and just flow with it. So, in that realm, right? So we've all heard the toilet paper stories, right? That, the hoarding energy, and it's not anywhere, and there's empty shelves and all of that. And it never occurred to me that to be out of toilet paper, that we would ever run out of toilet paper. And one of the things that happened was that, I got this intuitive hit, like, today is the day that you should go buy toilet paper. And I know that sounds strange, but it was like, okay. And so we went out shopping, and there was toilet paper. There wasn't a lot of it. I don't know if there were 4 packages or 3 packages, something like that. But we gathered the toilet paper that we needed, and then we didn't look for it again. We just knew it was going to be there. And then I realized, well, toilet paper is getting a little low again. Maybe we should look for toilet paper. And what happens is that because I'm not worried about it, because my husband's not worried about it, we find it everywhere. We see it everywhere. We saw it again today, and it was like, we don't need it. So we didn't buy it because other people do. And it's one of those things that it's become one of those foraging things, that people go looking for toilet paper. Now, I haven't been as lucky with, hand sanitizer or something like that. But again, we have plenty. We had, we found in our cabinet back at the beginning of all this change, a bottle that we bought from the dollar store, just in case the electricity ever went out, because our water was on a well. So you don't have water to wash your hands when the well goes out. So we just had, one of those little dollar store bottles, and, that was fine. So we found that, and then, we still have plenty of that. And then realized also that, my husband is a massage therapist. So we had, extra hand sanitizer in his massage room. He hadn't been doing massage, but then we remembered that there was hand sanitizer in there. So we had it. So we have plenty, like months worth, because you don't have to use it constantly. Use it when you go out and things like that. And we also manifested, which I didn't even think about, were those, the reusable, not reusable, the disposable gloves. A box of 100 of them showed up. So one of those things is that when you don't worry about it, when it shows up for you, you're like, oh, I might need this. So I will get that. And that's a new change. I don't think I've ever bought disposable gloves in my life. Maybe I have, but I don't remember that. But now it's like, oh, okay. And that's just something that, if I need to touch a grocery cart or something like that, then it's just an easier way to reduce the spread, right? The spread of energy, the spread of the virus. So Neshi is saying that is one item and it's scarcity that will break the most people's non-hoarding behavior. Yeah, that's why I'm surprised it hasn't. Hi, Deborah Sue. Nice to have you. Oh, yes. Judy Slate said it's like trying to find yeast in the store when you use Breer to make your bread with. Yes. I've seen a lot of recipes for using beer for making bread or soda bread. And I'm always impressed with my friends who bake because I'm not somebody who bakes normally. But that being said, I have a lot of allergies. So the food that I'm not allergic to has been difficult to find. So there's some things that we are starting to make that we never from scratch that we never did before because I can't chance it. I had one allergic reaction last week to toothpaste because they put something in toothpaste that, but I was determined to really move that energy because that was not going to happen. I wasn't going anywhere near an EpiPen. So thank you. Yeah, Judy, that's another one. And hi, Neshi's saying hi to Patty. And Rob's saying, I've been finding that when I need something like that, one will appear. Just one. The one time I saw two, I grabbed them both only to give one to someone else who was also looking for it. Yes, that has been the thing. It's like the when we found the toilet paper, you just take one because it's all you need. You don't have to go overboard. And when I first found it, it was way back on the shelf. I had to like climb up on the shelf to like get it. And so I knew some other people wouldn't be able to reach it. So I moved the other ones that were in the back like that forward so that people could get them who needed them. So it's one of those things that we're changing, right? That's not something that we've had to think about before, right? But people are getting it, right? They're adapting. They're finding a new rhythm. It's like, okay, so now this is what we do when we go out, and this is what we do when we come back, and this is how we stay safe, and this is how we do things. It's rather than reacting to it and going into victim of, oh, this is happening to me and why is this so bad? And you go into a place of, all right, let's get creative. How do we navigate this? The people who, were like, hey, you can make a mask with two rubber bands, two hair ties, and a bandana. That was ingenious. And how many people are using that? How many people did that help? Because one person was like, there has to be a way to do this with what I've got in front of me. It opens up our creative thought process. And when we use our creativity combined with our intuition, then we're allowing our spirit to begin to navigate or remember how to navigate. And we're able to calm the ego and say, hey, we've got this, we're safe. And we can tell the intellect, hey, this hasn't been done before, so we're going to have to be quiet. And we're going to have to listen to what our higher self is telling us because they're the ones who can see the way, or they're the ones who can help us navigate this new future and this new place. So, and Patricia's saying, I have a year's supply of nose tissue because of my office. Worked exactly like TP. Smiling here. Yes. We actually bought Kleenex, a 4-pack of Kleenex at one point, just in case. And knowing also too that allergy season for me is coming up, and springtime can be a difficult time. A lot of sneezing, runny nose stuff anyways. And I didn't want to use toilet paper. So it's funny because, I know somebody who, ordered one of those hoses to turn their toilet into like a bidet because they weren't able to find, the scarcity of it was like, hey, other countries do that. They hose down. So it's creativity, right? It's navigating the change and not going into panic, but being able to lean in and go, okay, I got to do this different because the way we've always done it just isn't going to work. Hi, Carol. Nice to have you. Welcome to the house. Welcome into the community chat. So in this time of change, when we are in our thinking of our chakra system, our energy body, because that's my specialty, is like, how does our energy handle that? When we go into reaction mode, we shut down the engines that run our bodies. So one or more of our chakras will sort of go offline, or it will freeze. And the more that freeze, the more we go into our natural panic response. And, that is, that's the way it's always been, I guess. That's the way it's always been. So when we get to that place, it's very difficult. And then Carol said it was getting him here was tough tonight. I kept getting neshies from this morning. All right. Well, you got here. You made it. So when we look at our chakras, we can pay attention to what part of us or what energy is reacting. If we're reacting from a fear-based place, then it's one of our 3 lower chakras that's having an issue. And right now, the entire planet, everybody's first chakra is having a hard time because that's all about safety, security, our home, our job, our finances. And a lot of people have no idea what that looks like or what that's going to look like a week from now, a month from now, a year from now. So we're a little wobbly there, even on the best days, right? And maybe we're in a place where that's not too bad for us. But we also can sense that a lot of the things that we've taken for granted, we can't anymore. Stores aren't open, that, we have to shop differently. We have to, there's certain things that other people, there's forces that be that determine what's essential and not. Not every state agrees on what that is. And then, but for you, it might be essential. It might be essential for your work. And then how do you find it? How do you get it? And that might cause some instability. And then in the second chakra, that's all of our emotional responses and our interaction with other people. And so we may be having way too much time with family right now, or other people, or we may be so super isolated and we're not used to it, that either one is really impacting our second chakra, which is how our energy flows. And if we're not doing things to shift that, communicating with other people on a daily basis, doing live chat so we can see people, it can be difficult for people. And it gives us a sense of what it feels like to be in that isolated place, and maybe expand our empathy so that we approach this type of circumstance with more kindness and from an open-hearted place. Now that we've had the experience, we can empathize with it because our intellect can remember what it felt like and take action from there. And then in our third chakra, if that's having trouble, that is when we're going to have anxiety, worry, panic, resentment, judgment, righteous anger, frustration, stress. Can't imagine any of you have had any of those in the past 6 weeks. So it's when that fire gets going, how are you able to ground it? How are you able to quiet that energy down, and when we have that energy going on in our chakras, then it's, that's our lower self, is what a lot of people will call that. And my team just always talks about the lower 3 chakras as our survival body. We have to take care of our survival body so it's not freaking out. Otherwise, we are in a reactive place, we're in a triggered place, and we are in energy that is more aligned with our animal nature than our humanity. Does that make sense? Robson saying, not me. Yeah, I'm sure. No stress, no overwhelm, none of that. And then when we are in that energy with change, our heart sometimes has a hard time with it. There's a lot of us who are sensitive. And what is our heart? How is our heart navigating the change? For some people, they're feeling this huge sense of loss. And the loss may be that, we are losing a lot of people on a daily basis from this earth plane. And it also could be the loss of contact with our loved ones. It could be the loss of our job and our well-being. It could be the loss of the way things were and knowing that they're not going to be the same. It could be that loss of your identity, because maybe your identity was wrapped up in your job and you're not working right now. And so there are all different forms of loss that we can be connected to. And we also may be connecting to the whole humanity, the loss that we're feeling as a collective, rather than just our own emotions. I've been very busy with distance healings, especially with healthcare workers. And they go into, the ones that I've worked with have gone into places where they're in energetic overwhelm because they're feeling all of their emotions, their clients' emotions, the family's emotions, and it's they can't find themselves in all of that. And you can't just necessarily wash it off at the end of the day. And there may not be time to ground and clear as often as you might need to. And so, that's a new experience for that energetic overwhelm of everybody and what they're experiencing. And so that can be another thing that we're navigating. And now also I'm finding that a lot of people are having change in their throat chakra because that's all about our self-expression and our authentic truth. And now that we aren't face to face with people, and we're having conversations like this, they're in person, but they're not face to face. There's a more ability to, especially if you're in your own home and your own comfort zone, for people to say what they really mean and say what they need to say. And so there's a lot of truth telling that's going on. And also some really fantastic creative energy that's flowing. Whenever this type of energy has been on the planet before, the amount of creative, inspirational thought and innovation that's happened has been through the roof. It creates an explosion of art, an explosion of music, an explosion of new inventions and new creations, which is very exciting. I'm looking forward to that part. I don't know about you, but I'm really looking forward to that part. And I also feel that huge explosion of awareness of how much that creative energy feeds our soul. And then there are people who have difficulty with change in their third eye, because the third eye connects to our intuition, it connects to our senses, but it connects to our intellect as well. And so we have this perception of life and how it should be, and it's not. And so that creates these spinning thoughts about what if and could be and should be, and it's having difficulty grounding, and it's making it difficult for people to focus or to sleep, because the intellect is churning. It's kind of in one of those like spinning balls of doom we see on the computer when it starts spinning like that, and we're like, oh no, it froze. Some people are having that happen in their third eye because they can't imagine the possibilities, or it's hard to understand that their perception is going to have to change because things are not the same, and they're not going to be the same. And so you grounding that energy so that you can focus and really see more clearly can be difficult. And then the other thing that unfortunately I've seen quite a bit of is that people are having difficulty with their crown chakra. And the reason that's coming in is because, to have our crown wide open, we need to trust. We need to trust that everything is happening the way it's meant to, that everybody will be okay, that it's all happening for our highest benefit, and to release the doubt. And the chicken little within all of us comes in, and it creates doubt. And so in that moment, we disconnect a little bit with the divine, and that causes some difficulty. But all of that is making a new pathway for us to open up more fully, to trust more fully, and to become aware of how to navigate change from a non-reactive place. Boy, that's a lot. Deborah's saying that makes a lot of sense. Good. And Carol's saying beauty is a channel through which we are nourished. Thus the creative arts are blooming. Yes. Yes. Carol's son is a fantastic artist. So I will no doubt see some amazing paintings. I know he'd already got started before things kind of escalated. He was already on a roll. Maybe he hit the wave as it was coming, because some of the best artists do. They feel the energy coming early, and they just surf it as it's coming. And that's part of the change. That's part of navigating the change. Today, my husband and I we drove to a place where we could park near the beach, see the ocean. You can't get out of your car, but this one town is allowing parking at the moment. And people are really respecting that, because everywhere else is basically shut down. So we were watching the seagulls. And so there were ones who were working really hard. They were flapping really hard, and they were fighting the wind, and then there were others who knew exactly how to get in the current and just ride it out. And they were doing it without effort. And then the ones who were just squawking, squawking really loud and flapping really hard. My heart just kept opening, because it's like, oh my goodness, sweetie, why are you working so hard? You have these fantastic wings. Just use them, take flight, and just stop trying so hard. And that felt so akin to, navigating the change, when we spend time using our energy to try to make things happen or try to figure things out rather than allowing them to unfold. We're wasting that energy. We're putting that gas in the wrong gas tank. Does that make sense? So we're not getting as many miles to the gallon. So when we can just allow okay, this is what it is. This is what the energy is today. So then we aren't resisting the change. We're being aware of it. But we're also not allowing ourselves to become a victim to it. When we go into blaming energy, this never would have happened if, or we're in a place where we're disconnected from the global consciousness. When we're disconnected from the global consciousness, we may not even believe that this energy is real or that it could ever impact us, right? That energy that we're above it, or it isn't. I don't know. I can't even get the words for it. My team is showing me a picture, and I'm sorry, I can't I can't translate it. It's that energy where we don't understand how interconnected we are, and that Mother Nature, there are no lines of country on the ground. There are no divisions between ages, sexes, religions, ethnicities, skin color. It's washing over the entire reach of humanity, right? But in those places, how are we navigating that? Are we calling in our spirit to help guide us, or are we frozen and in a place where we are reactive? We're reacting to the change rather than taking a deep breath and creating new change for ourselves. And that's when we really pull in our energy and our chakras to help us with that. So one of the things that, Neshi has been doing for us on a daily basis is the grounding meditation. And in the grounding meditations that we do, we because so much is moving so rapidly, we need to ground regularly. And maybe not just, once a day. We used to do it once a day, and she's been talking about doing it twice a day. And for those of us who are having a lot of reactive energy come up, we need to do it even more often than that. So how are you taking care of yourself as you're navigating this change? Do you have tools in your toolbox that you're using? Are you doing meditations? Are you using crystals or oils? Are you reconnecting with aspects of yourself that have been sleeping and are ready to wake up? Those are all things that we can be doing. So I noticed some cool things. So let me share them. Carol said, beauty is a channel through which we are nourished, thus the creative arts are blooming. Yes. People stressing should take time for noticing that which is beautiful. The beauty plus the gratitude is a stress reliever. Yes. And Rob is saying no divisions, only logarithms. And Stephanie is saying we are all integral pieces in the stewardship of the planet. Yes. My team has talked about we're all strands in the tapestry of the universe, so that we weave together. And each strand is important because it gives the tapestry its flavor and its color and its vibrance. So we need each strand in an interconnected way. And this is a time of in the energy of change right now. It's how do we step into our truth, right? It's an opportunity for us to step into who we truly are and who we are meant to be and how we are meant to be on a regular basis. And how are you doing that? um, I see a lot of people who are struggling on their own and they're forgetting their tools in their toolbox, like what Neshi just said. Are you connecting to your support circle, your friends on a regular basis? Yes. And if you don't have one, make one. There's a lot of wonderful people here on Star Nations, and who are here for each other and are willing to be there for others, knowing that others will be there for them, and, this is time for getting support in your mental health. This is time for getting support in your spiritual health and your energetic body, and to move old stuck energy. So there's a lot of people are getting called to move, and it's hard when we're in this, sort of confined space most often. But then you have wonderful light workers, like my friend Francesca, she's doing a virtual dance party on Sunday morning to help people get moving. And, she calls it the Enchanted Circle because it works the energy through the chakras and dance the way through the chakras and move them. And it's something that has always been done as a group in a big class. And it's like, yeah, but we need it, whether we can't get together in person, but we sure can get together this way. And, you don't even have to dance in front of your video. You can just hear the music coming through. And so that's just, that's the ingenuity that's coming. We need movement. We need music. How do we create it? This is how I'm going to create it. And that's the type of thing that is, there's change, but here are the things that my soul needs. I know there are people out there who are avid gardeners and they need to get their hands in the soil. That is essential for them, and so, they're going to find ways to get that to occur. And the people who are, avid bakers, they're going to find it, now in my brain is, there are people out there who need yeast. So I'm going to keep my eyes open and, so that I can tell people where it is or pick it up and start mailing yeast to people. If I find it, I'm going to start mailing it. So it's all of those things that we're creating, that we're finding the need inside of ourselves and going, if I need this, I bet there are at least a dozen other people on the planet who need this too. So how do I get to them? So this technology has been this great thing for us to navigate. So Neshi's also saying they can remind us to ground, to use our tools. Yes, our friends can do that. But she also liked the idea of the dance party. I know, I'm really enjoying it. I can't wait. I actually really can't. Sunday at 10 Eastern Standard Time. And if you're interested, Dragonflies and Amber if you go to the Facebook group, Dragonflies and Amber, that's the name of the healing center. And there's a link for the Enchanted Circle. And we'll be dancing, and I'll be using my essential oils with it because I have oils for each of the chakras. So as we move our way through the chakras, you put the oil on to help the chakra come into balance, and you dance off all the energy that no longer serves you. Doesn't that sound cool? It's very, very fun. So as you're going through the change, as you're navigating what's moving, what's shifting, also give yourself time to integrate, give yourself time and space to be quiet, because that's when you're going to hear your spirit and your soul most clearly. And your inner child needs a lot of love and attention. I'm sure you've noticed, so you may feel called to things like nap time and doing play that you loved to do when you were a kid. And, the one thing is our inner child has the secret to manifesting and creating our reality. And she does it through her joy, her love, and her magic. And so when we can access that, not only can we navigate change, but we can create the change that we can see more clearly with our inner child. And if that calls to you, then hop on over to my class that I'm going to be holding in just a few minutes at 8 o'clock on Star Nations Academy. And, if you need some help along the way, if you need a healer as your support system, or you need some oils to help you, because I have a ton right now. There's one for each chakra. There's one for anxiety and stress and overwhelm, and grounding, and to release other people's energy, and to help if you're really empathic. I've got you. And if I don't have one already created, I will tap into your energy and help ask your spirit what it needs to help bring you into balance so you can navigate the change on your own. So with that, you guys, I'm going to cut out early so that I can head on over to my Zoom class. And I will see you here next week on Chakra Sessions. And, you can also check me out on Wednesday nights on Soul Connections, where we do a clearing and healing meditation. And I pull cards and divine messages to help guide the way. I call on your team to send through me the message you might need to hear on that day. And thank you for being here. It helps me with my personal mission, which is to heal the healers, because we need you guys. Those light workers are frontline workers too. So with that, be healthy, be safe, and I will see you soon. Thanks, guys.